It's time to get into Formula One hot takes. This is the segment where you, the viewers at home, send us your hot takes and Hayden and I rate on how spicy they are. Hayden, are you ready?
I am raring to go.
Okay, Hayden, our first hot take is on Facebook from one of our top fans, Michael Wilkie, and they say that Albon is losing the star power / shine he regained last year.
Okay. I think it's too early to tell. I think there's been some really strong performances from him, to be fair, this season. Williams aren't the best out of that bottom five, but I do think Albon has the ability to get amongst with the States. Even the Haas, can be up there. So I think, yes, okay, crashed in Australia and then got taken out, not by purpose of Ricciardo. I'm not putting the fault on Ricciardo, but just to say, it's definitely not Albon's fault that he's out of that race. So I think it's sort of too early to say, and I don't think so. I think he needs a car to either be better or to move to a team that is better to sort of keep that star power up, because the more he stays down there, the more he's going to kind of be forgotten about. But he's doing the right thing. He's smashing his teammate.
Yeah. From what I'm getting from what you're saying there is basically he's not in the correct car to be able to say whether this statement is true or not, because the car's having so many issues. That's why you're seeing him, crash or damage the car. It's not necessarily his fault. Also now in Japan with this incident. Again, I think you're going to have two different sides to this story, because, people will say that potentially it is Ricciardo's fault because he should have been more careful and he should have looked. Both sides. But then at the same time, people will also say that Albon should not have put his car in that position to be able to find himself in that situation. So I'm on the fence with this one slightly, Hayden.
I look back just now whilst you were talking, I look back at results for the season just to refresh myself. And Bahrain, P15, not amazing, but beat Logan Sargent, who was last out of the finishers, which I think everyone finished. Saudi, P11, just missed out on points. And you're in a field where if all top guys finish, then I think it was just Lance Stroll who crashed out in that one. Hulkenberg got the point. And then you look at the next race, which was Australia. Filled in, yes, okay, he had the crash and it cost him his chassis. Very unlucky with that crash. Yeah. Because sometimes you can go into the wall like Zhou did in Saudi. It's not a broken chassis, they're all fine. Rebuild the car, they're ready to go. So I think he just got very unfortunate with that, but finished in that race again, P11. And then we come to Japan and he has, he's crashed out in that one, but full racing incident. You're not necessarily going to make the overtake around there, but you're a racing driver, so you still expect them to go for it rather than be like, okay, I'm just going to sit back here and do nothing. But in all those races that he has finished, where's Logan Sargent? Massively behind him. And as I've said before, when I discuss about Yuki Tsunoda and Daniel Ricciardo, the biggest thing that you can compare about those people is not necessarily how many points they're scoring, but it's the head-to-head battles. How many times are they beating each other in qualifying? How many times are they beating each other in the races? And it is fully one-sided. So I think people are just taking the recency bias of, he crashed in Japan and he's crashed in Australia. That's cost Logan Sargent the car. I'm not quite happy about it. I don't think Alex Albon is the driver that we all thought he was. So I think it's just recency bias.
I'm on the fence with this one, but I want to give Albon more time before I make this super bold statement. So spiciness level, I'm going to go with a 2. I can't say yet. There's enough to debate, and we had a nice little disagreement, but there's not enough to say.
Spiciness level 1, I think this is just saying something opposite to what everyone else is saying, because you just kind of want to be a little bit different rather than being like, I actually fully believe this. And it's like, you've opened my mind to maybe think of it that way. It's just like, no, come on, just open your mind to the rest of the season, look at the rest of the results and be like, and compare it to his actual teammate and be like, okay, cool, no, the star power is kind of still there, because Russell had that huge star power and he was going up against Kubica and Latifi, and everyone was like, oh my God, he was supposed to be like a future world champion. So I think 1, I disagree with it.
Give him a chance and we'll see on the next one. Okay, Hayden, are you ready for this hot take?
I am.
So this is on Twitter from Generic Nickname. And they say that Lance Stroll would be a way better driver if he raced for a different team.
Okay.
Now, there's a lot to debate on this one. I feel like the comments might go crazy because everyone has something to say about Lance Stroll. But Hayden, I don't agree with this one.
You don't?
Automatically, straight away, my answer is I don't agree with this one. I don't think if he was in Red Bull or Ferrari, of course he'd be up in the positions. Naturally, you're in a better car, but not a better driver. I think he's still the same driver.
I will agree with this one.
Oh,
yes. I have said this before on, I think, this podcast, that I think Lance Stroll would be a better driver if his dad didn't own the team or he didn't have a guaranteed contract every year. Like, yes, okay, Lance Stroll's contract's kind of like underclosed and nobody knows about it, but everyone just assumes, well, he's going to be in that seat next year. So he's always got a seat. So there's never that pressure, you know? And as they say, diamonds are formed under pressure. So he never has that pressure to actually be like, okay, I really need to get this performance here, other than just fan scrutiny. It's just fans against him. And you know, as athletes, they've learned throughout their lifetime to be able to block out social media hate and all that sort of stuff, so they know how to not listen to it.
Yeah.
So that sort of stuff means nothing. But if somebody's coming into the office, be like, look, you're under pressure. If you don't perform, you're going to be out next season. Okay, cool. I need to buck up my ideas. To come back to the point, that's why I do agree that he would be better in a different team, because there would be that pressure to get those results. You can't relax
then, can he? I remember we spoke about this beforehand, and I did agree with you then. But now when I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I still don't know, because maybe he will perform better because there is the pressure. So he's learning, he's pushing himself more, he's finding his driver craft. Maybe he's a little bit too relaxed at the minute. But I just can't imagine him. I just don't see him being a Perez, because obviously he's not, in my opinion, world champion material.
No, I fully agree. I fully agree.
But I don't see him being like the second to the world champion, like a Perez or a Bottas. I still don't put him in that regard yet.
I hate watching Lance Stroll on a Saturday because qualifying, he sucks. He is the worst qualifier I have ever seen. But come race day, he just then shines. Like, he started P7, 18, was down there in Q1, like P16 maybe it was, and then comes back to P12 in the race. So he knows how to come back through the field, and we've seen this in the past where it's like, he's out in Q1 again. But he's in the points of the race. And it kind of helps when you have the car deficit and they're better. But it always just seems to be the way that he just sucks on a Saturday. Just let him take the day off and just let him do the racing, because Saturday is useless for Lance Stroll.
What are you rating this hot take, Hayden?
We've really debated about it. We've really debated, but I suppose because it's Lance Stroll, I love the man, and I would defend that man.
You knew there was going to be a debate.
As much as I possibly can. Sometimes I'm like, come on, you're not making it any easier for me.
You're having a hard time rating this hot take.
Yeah, I've been on the fence quite a lot today.
We've swapped completely.
Let's go for a 4. It's a spicy one that people would be like, yeah, no, I disagree with it. But I think there is a good debate around it that Lance Stroll fans will. There are a few of us, but there are Lance Stroll fans.
Yes.
Would debate it still.
Okay, so you're going for a 4.
Yeah.
I was actually going to put it at a 3 because smack bang in the middle. There's 2 sides to this story. So it's not super spicy where you're like, oh my gosh, this is an out of this world hot take. Who would ever think that Lance Stroll? But, it's still debatable. Hayden, are you ready for the last hot take?
I am. Give it to me.
This one is from Bedheadman on Twitter, and they say Piastri should have been on Norris's pace by now based on the hype.
Okay.
It's quite spicy, I'd say.
Yeah.
Super debatable.
I think so. Big gap, to be fair, in Japan. Lando Norris 29 seconds behind Max Verstappen, and we've got Oscar Piastri 47. So a 20-second gap is quite a lot. I do think he's been there with Norris, and he has beaten Norris on occasions. But I also do think that there is those gaps. But he's not as much off Lando as Daniel was. And I do think that they have a very strong pairing, but I bring it back. It's his second season.
Exactly.
He has still performed very well for a rookie last season and a driver in their second season.
That's what's going through my mind instantly.
So I would say I disagree. And he's still very young. So again, I bring it back to age. Let these guys mature. Let them find their way. Yeah, okay, they're going to be blisteringly quick in some events. But some races, they might, make these little odd mistakes here and there and be off the pace. But that's how you get a better driver, by making mistakes. What's the point of just being as clean as possible and as cautious as possible if you're never going to learn from it and never get better?
Because then you're always going to fall to be the number 2 driver that's just safe, that just gets points. I definitely disagree with this one. I think Piastri has really impressed me so much this season and last season as well. Again, age does come into it at times. I think when a driver's been there for like 4 or 5 years plus, then I don't think age comes into it. But Piastri is still so new into the sport. So of course it is going to come into this now. We know Lando is an amazing driver as well. So when you're going to put still a young driver, but a more experienced and a driver that has wowed people against a new driver that's just come into the sport. You really can't compare them yet. It's way too, I think, cruel to compare them to. So definitely not. I think Piastri is a strong driver.
So I just quickly looked at the qualifying to refresh myself, and Bahrain matched Lando Norris. Saudi beat Lando Norris. Australia was 2 tenths off of Lando, 2.5, and then Japan was 3 tenths off of Lando in qualifying. Yeah, 3 tenths off. So, you know, you're 3-1 in the qualifying head-to-heads, and you've matched him once, and you're on average probably about 1/10, 2 tenths off, which I think is not a problem for a driver in their second season.
Exactly.
Up against a driver who's in his 5th now? Yeah, fifth or 6th season. Both drivers are very young. Yeah, okay, they're both very young, but I do think that he's definitely finding his feet and has impressed more than other drivers.
I think he's a fantastic driver, one to watch in the future for sure. So what are you rating this hot take?
Rating the hot take, again, I think it's just like the Albon one. It's just looking at the last result and being like, oh, I think this. So it's been quite low this week on him. So I'm saying, yeah, it's a 2.
Not super spicy.
Not super spicy. Because it's just looking at the last result and people just be like, nah. It's one of those where people just look at that and be like, I'm not even going to worth engaging with that, because it's not too over the top to sort of clickbait people and be like, how dare you say this?
Yeah.
But then it's not drawn enough back there. Everyone's like, yeah, I agree. So I think
he's still a new driver. Give him time. I agree. I'd say I knew my opinion straight away on this one, so I say it's about a 2 as well. Not really spicy, but enough there to have a little bit of a debate. Thank you so much for sending in your hot takes. Don't forget to send us some more, and Hayden and I will rate on how spicy they are. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye-bye.